So, for a very long time, I was really into using this app called Anki. Anki is a flashcard app which lets you create your own flashcards or use someone else's pre-made flashcard deck to study basically anything. It's based on spaced repetition and it's really good to remember facts or things. And I used it to study Japanese in particular. I started using it about 3.5 years ago when I started my exchange semester in Japan. I really wanted to get serious about studying Japanese and I heard lots of good things about this app and other people there were using it as well. So I got started and I never stopped. I was determined to do it every single day because if you skip a day, the reviews are gonna stack up and you're gonna have much more to do the next day. If you skip multiple days, it's at some point it's like almost impossible to catch up again. So for a very long time, even after I came back from Japan, I was still determined to keep doing the reviews to not forget the stuff I had already learned. So I was determined to do it every single day, and I did for 1,152 days. The day I stopped was in November 2019, last year, on the day before I went on a 10-day meditation retreat. And you couldn't take anything into the retreat. You couldn't take a phone, but you couldn't also take notes or something to write or anything. So it was impossible to continue my Anki Streak throughout the retreat. So of course I had to stop. I didn't really think much about what I wanted to do afterwards. And after the retreat, I was a little bit overwhelmed with being back in the world after being on retreat for 10 whole days and having no communication to the outside and having no access to any devices or anything or any media, nothing. I was a little bit overwhelmed, so I put it off. I thought I'm gonna deal with it later. The longer I waited, the more reviews piled up and the number was becoming overwhelming, and I just completely put it off and said, no, I'm not gonna do this. But I was never really happy with that. And there was something I noticed while reading this book, which is called Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't have it here because I actually gave it to my friend a few days ago. The book is obviously about habits and how to better create new habits and how to stick to them. In Atomic Habits, the author talks about outcome-based versus identity-based habits. And I thought that was really interesting. He said that if a behavior is incongruent with the self, it will not last. Which makes sense, right? If you don't believe in what you're doing, you're not going to stick with it. And the best motivation to actually keep up a habit is to make it part of your identity. It's kind of a feedback loop, right? Your identity shapes your habits and your habits shape your identity. So it kind of goes back and forth, but you gotta start somewhere, and it's usually better to start with your identity. Think about who you want to become and then figure out the kind of habits that can help you become that person. So the author described it in a way that I thought was really interesting. He said that every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So if you exercise each day, every time you exercise, it's a vote for becoming the type of person who exercises. Every time you sleep in, you snooze in the morning, you're kind of putting in a vote to become the type of person who sleeps in the morning. And if you don't want to be that kind of person, that's a bad thing. So think about what kind of identity you want to build and what kind of habits can support that identity. And when I read that, I realized that the reason I was able to keep up that Anki Streak for over 3 whole years, every single day, was because it became part of my identity. I believed that I was the kind of person who can keep this up, who does his reviews every single day. This retreat kind of destroyed that image, that identity, and I was sad about that. But I didn't realize it until I read that book. And when I realized, I thought, well, why not try it again? It's my own decision whether this is my identity or it's not my identity. So all of this led me to actually be back on Anki. So I'm doing it again every day, but I couldn't really figure out a good strategy to get back to it. So I'm just continuing it like nothing happened, but there's like thousands of reviews that pile up. I can put in the screenshot here, but it's like super crazy how many reviews there are, and I'm like slowly scraping them off one by one, and it's gonna take a long time. But yeah, I'm doing it again, and I really don't want to forget my Japanese while I'm back here in Germany. So this is one of the strategies I'm using to keep using my Japanese and to keep the Japanese part of my brain active. I might actually make more videos about Anki in the future. I was thinking about this already a whole long time ago, but I never actually acted on it, so I'm not sure. I also have a lot of other video ideas. I'm a little bit inspired to make more videos, especially because of this other book I'm reading right now, which I can actually show you. A moment. So this book is called The Courage to be Disliked, and as you can see, I'm taking a lot of notes. I did that with the other book as well, and it's really helpful, but it kind of doubles or triples my reading time of these books. But it's actually super interesting, and it kind of inspired me to just put things out and not be afraid of people's opinions and what people might be thinking about me. That's it for today. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting to you. Yeah, if you have any thoughts about this, please let me know in the comments below. Share your own stories about habits or anything like that, anything related to it, whatever you want to share. Please do. See you in the next video. Bye bye. By the way, while my roommate isn't here, I am not alone in here. So here we have Annie. I think she is kind of annoyed by me talking. And here is Yuri. Oh. Okay.